Hi, my name is Bill Tandy. I want to talk today about the questions that I get asked the most as a hiring manager in the space industry. If I don't get to your question, drop it in the comments below and I'll try to get you an answer. And I'll start by saying that the space industry is looking for thousands of new employees. If you're looking for a job that wants you to be creative, to keep learning, and to push the boundaries of exploration, then this may be the industry for you. And for what it's worth, I love the space industry. I think you will too, if you find the right place to work. I've been doing it for a couple of decades now. I have a PhD in aerospace, and I've helped create a dozen different spacecraft that are flying around the solar system. I love that I worked on great teams of people to do those things. I've also done a lot of hiring and a lot of resume reviews. So let's talk about the big topics I've come across, starting with the question that matters the most. How much do aerospace engineers make? The short answer for engineers is $80,000 to about $160,000 a year for most people working at traditional, non-government aerospace companies. If you work for the government, you'll make less, but you'll work fewer hours in a more stable environment. If you work for a startup, you can be paid more or less depending on the company, but either way, you typically get potentially lucrative stock options. If you've been in the industry for a while with a few missions worth of experience, you can expect to make closer to $200,000 a year, and very senior staff can make around $250,000 a year or more. It's worth pointing out that some engineers make more than others. Embedded system developers and programmers make more than just about anybody, sometimes $20,000 to $30,000 a year more. System engineers, especially leadership, tend to make $10,000 to $20,000 more than others. And all the other disciplines such as mechanical, thermal, and structures make about the same amount, although market forces of supply and demand sometimes bump salaries up. If you are not an engineer, then the answer is it depends on what you are doing. Technicians, machinists, admins, outreach coordinators, and other support staff make between $45,000 and $70,000 in most companies, although I've personally seen people make $100,000 a year or more if they've been around for a while and have a great reputation. At the other end of the scale are the program managers, sales teams, and executive leaders. They tend to make between $150,000 to $300,000 a year, and big companies tend to pay on the higher end of that scale. What are the most in-demand skills? There are three families of engineers and one surprise skill set here. The most in-demand skill set by far are embedded system engineers. This means both the people who create the electronic boards and the programmers who make them work. In fact, I've joked that if FPG programmers asked me for fresh-baked cookies every Monday, that I'd ask them, what flavor do you want? The challenge is that many of the people who have the skill sets that can do these things are in demand in almost any industry, and they can make a lot of money anywhere they go. In my experience, the next two most in-demand skill sets are a tie between communication and thermal engineers. Communication engineers are the people who understand communication frequencies, the antennas, the radios and amplifiers, and thermal engineers are the people who really understand the extreme temperatures in space and spacecraft and how to deal with them. And the surprise skill set? Recruiters. Finding good employees requires knowing what makes for a good employee, so the best recruiters have to know the words and phrases and even mindset of the new staff they're looking for. A lot of companies would love to hire hundreds of new people today, but they're moving slowly because they don't have the recruiters and the human resource staff to move faster. Do you need a college degree? For most employers hiring engineers, yes, they want to see a bachelor's degree in some sort of technical field. I'd say that's beginning to change, especially for programmers with experience. And this is just my opinion, and some people disagree with me, but I feel that at least half of what most engineers do each day could be done by people trained in the software tools we use. Where a degree is important is in creating solutions to problems that have never been solved before. The math and physics training you get in school is hard to get on your own, but it can be done. However, there are many great jobs in the space industry that do not require degrees. For instance, the people who machine and assemble the hardware are technicians who often have no or only some college experience. Engineers design the systems, but technicians are the ones who get to touch the hardware the most. Then there are the human resources, recruiters, facility managers, supply chain teams, sales and marketing teams, admins, accountants, and more, who often have degrees but not always. I can say from personal experience that some of the best and brightest people I've worked with in these areas did not have a college degree. Do I need an advanced degree? Probably not. A bachelor's degree is plenty to get you through a rewarding career. A master's degree is helpful though if you know you want to specialize in something like embedded system design in a radiation environment. You can probably make $5,000 to $10,000 more a year, and many companies count it as 2 years of experience. It can also be helpful if you know you want to get into management, but even then, definitely not necessary. A PhD is not needed unless you want to do two things: be a tenured professor at a university, or make it easier to become a chief architect or scientist. What's the work-life balance like? You may have heard that some companies want you to work 70-hour weeks and that lots of people burn out in just a year or two. Those companies do exist, but they continue to work that way because people love working on things that could change the future of humanity. While people do often burn out, there are plenty of people who thrive in those environments. If you don't want that though, rest assured there are many companies where 40-hour weeks are normal and nobody's working the weekend unless there's some big event like a spacecraft test. Some of these companies even pay overtime to their salaried workers. Alright, I think that's a wrap for my first video. What questions do you have? Put them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. I hope I get to do more of these videos, so like and subscribe just in case.